Welcome to BigCountryPreps.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is the countdown to two-a-days series, our daily look at an area football team and the key questions we're going to be answering about that team in our August 17th preseason football preview here at Big Country Preps. I'm with my partner, Dan Youngblood, via Zoom, and tonight, Dan, we're going to be talking about one of the ball clubs in the Big Country that we're going to be expecting a great deal from this year, the Coleman Bluecats.
Yeah, and Coleman was a team that took a massive step forward. They've kind of been building toward this for years now. Last year, it kind of, it all culminated into a 12-1 season where they went 5-0 in district, knocking off Cisco for their district championship. So a huge season for them. And the scary part is they may be better this year. They've got 15 lettermen back from last year's team, including 7 offensive, 8 defensive starters. And all of those sophomores that were so good for them last year are back as juniors this year. And they're going to have some reinforcements from a 7-2 JV team as well, a young 7-2 JV team. So this Coleman program, we've talked about it for a while now, but this Coleman program is one that is really has some staying power and is going to be really fun to watch. I think last year may have just been the tip of the iceberg.
Well, one of the things that you have to really keep an eye on with this ball club is going to be speed all over the field. They're going to be able to spread the field with speed all over the place. Braxton Smith's a 4.5 guy. Jaden Jackson's a 4.7 guy. So is Brent Bolden. Rylan Gentry's a 4.8 guy. They have another 4.5 guy coming up, Hunter Lackey. And then Keaton Beats is a 4.6 guy. There is speed all over the field. There's weapons all over the field, and they've got more experience now as well. This is going to be a very good ball club.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned a lot of the names. Rylan Gentry is already, he's one of the area's best two-way guys as a running back and linebacker. Had almost 900 yards last year, 13 TDs. Jaden Jackson is just a super talented dual threat quarterback, both passed and rushed for more than 900 yards last year. And then Braxton Smith was a really explosive receiver, had 400 yards on just 19 catches, 8 of those, and then eight interceptions on defense. So some guys that are just really explosive, talented players. And the one thing about Coleman too is these stats, on their face may not jump off the page, but this is a team that was, a lot of the games they played last year were over by halftime, and these guys were kind of watching younger players play. So this is a team with a ton of explosive talent. I got to see them last year in the playoffs against Anson. And like I said, that was just the tip of the iceberg because a lot of these kids, are still going to be there for another year or two in the case of those sophomores from last year. So it's a super exciting team and one that's going to be very difficult to reckon with. The one thing about that is they're in a good solid district and a tough division where eventually to get to a state, you're going to have to eventually, maybe play a Cisco or a Holly. So going to be really interesting. I think that this Coleman team has and their fans have a lot of reasons to be excited about this year.
And a 7-2 JV team last year with the bulk of its talent, or at least a lot of its key young players already up on varsity. And yet they were still 7-2 at the JV level. A lot of those kids coming up this year to fill some holes. So this team is going to be in excellent shape. It's going to have depth. It's going to have speed. They're going to have a little bit of size as well. This is going to be a team that's no fun to play.
Yeah, definitely. And it's going to be a ton of fun to watch because as is the case often for teams that go 12-1, it's hard to schedule when that realignment happens. And you look at their non-district schedule and that's kind of reflected there. They open the season with a big road game at Mason, which is always a really tough program. And then they play a couple of 3As in their region with Ballinger and Brady to follow both home games. And then they wrap up their non-district schedule at Llano. So you got Mason, which is kind of a 2A power, and then you're playing up the rest of the way. So it should be a fun non-district slate for Coleman.
Absolutely. District-wise, they open with Goldthwaite on September the 23rd. That's a home date. A road date at San Saba follows on September the 30th. Then on October the 7th, they'll be hosting Toller at Hamilton, followed by an open date on the 21st. The 28th of October, they've got De Leon at home, followed by a road date to close the regular season at Bangs. If we're going to pick a key game of the year for Coleman, district-wise, I'm leaning toward that Toller game on October the 7th. Coleman has them at home. I think that really Coleman is a clear-cut favorite to win the district, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you on both points, which is somewhat rare for us to agree that much. But I think that the Toller game is, in my opinion, the game of the year, and I think that Coleman is the clear favorite here. I think Coleman is the best team in that district, but that Toller game will be the one I think that will probably decide that district championship. And then the following week at Hamilton will be a pretty big game as well, because it's the following week. You got to get up for 2 straight games, and Hamilton's got a solid squad as well.
Absolutely. Well, the thing is too, one thing to point out about this district, we might say that Coleman is the favorite, and they should be on paper, but the game isn't played on paper. And I'll tell you, Goldthwaite expects to be better this year.
Yeah.
San Saba expects to be better this year. Toller, as we know, is tough. Hamilton should be better this year. De Leon expects to improve, and so does Banks. District wide, every team in this league expects to be better than it was last year, and legitimately so.
Yeah, I agree. And that's what makes it fun. It's going to be a very competitive district. I don't know if it's going to be competitive at the district championship level, just because what the talent that Coleman's bringing back, but there's not a whole lot of dead weight, even though some of these teams had kind of rough records last year. Like you said, Bangs is expecting to be better. They're dropping down from Class 3A. San Saba had a rough year last year, but was able to make the playoffs, and their team expect to be better. And then De Leon is in the second year with the coach. They're expected to be better. So it's going to be a fun league just to kind of see how that goes.
And with that, it's just about time to wrap up tonight's edition of the Countdown to Two-A-Days series, the Coleman Bluecats. But before we do that, we want to remind you that we got 3 separate subscription packages here at Big Country Preps. We got a monthly for $5 a month. We got a semi-annual 6-month subscription where we knocked that price down to $4 a month. And then we've got an annual 12-month subscription where we knocked that price down to $3 a month, $36 for a full year of Big Country High School athletic coverage.
And before we wrap up this episode of our Countdown series, we would like to remind you one more time to be on the lookout for that August 17th preseason football preview. There will just be a ton of area content. You will not want to miss that. In the meantime, thank you for joining us for this episode of our Countdown to Two-A-Days series. And make sure you join us again tomorrow when we will be talking about the De Leon Bearcats here at BigCountryPreps.com.